Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about westward expansion and James Polk. Last class we talked about the War of 1812 where the United States fought England. That had to do with both countries were trying to move west, and England was also putting some of our sailors in prison and attacking some of our boats. But the United States won the War of 1812, and it's easy for the U.S. to start moving westward. And after the Revolutionary War, the United States begins to expand westward. The United States nearly doubles in size when it acquired the Louisiana Territory from France. The U.S. wanted this land so they can trade more and improve their economy. And most settlers who went west because they had a desire for better economic conditions. So the reason why people were moving west was to make money. They wanted better economic conditions. Usually they were poor. And the origins of the westward expansion. It starts off the Louisiana Purchase, which is right here. And Jefferson buys it from France for $15 million. Jefferson was the president of the U.S. at the time, and it doubled the size of the United States. So the United States used to only be this big, but Jefferson buys the Louisiana Territory and it becomes this big. And this is just another map that shows you Louisiana Territory, how it doubled the size of the U.S. And the United States gained control of the Mississippi River and New Orleans to facilitate Western trade. So it's a lot easier to trade. There's a lot of new products they can get. And not knowing what's in the new territory, Jefferson authorized the Lewis and Clark expedition to explore the new territories west of the Mississippi. So there was two guys named Lewis and Clark, and Jefferson wanted them to go exploring, go all the way out to the Pacific Ocean. And Lewis and Clark set out to explore the new territory that very few Europeans have ever visited. And they're also the first Europeans to ever cross the United States from east to west. Lewis and Clark, they started here, and with wagons, boats if they could on a river, or simply walking, they went all the way to the Pacific Ocean in modern-day Oregon. And their expedition lasted almost 3 years, 1804 to 1806. An important person that you're going to hear about is Sacagawea. She was a Native American woman who served as a translator and guide. If you guys ever see the gold dollar coin, she's the one in front of them. She helped show Lewis and Clark where to go, translated for them, and she did all this while she just had a tiny baby. She had it strapped to her back. It's pretty impressive. And there was also scientific exploration of Western territories. And this expedition led to greater knowledge, topography, which is like maps, geography, American Indian tribes for future U.S. settlers. So settlers knew where to go in the future because of Lewis and Clark. And there's something called manifest destiny. And this is Americans believed it was their destiny to stretch from the Atlantic to the Pacific Ocean. And that just means the Atlantic Ocean's over here, Pacific Ocean's over here. And a lot of Americans thought it was their destiny, that they were supposed to control all of this territory. And manifest destiny often provided political support for territorial expansion, and it is the belief that God had given the North American continent to Americans so they can settle west to the Pacific Ocean. And how did people move west? A lot of them used roads. They had to use horses and wagons, or canals, which were the essentially man-made rivers, waterways, where boats would go across, or railroads. However, this led to many clashes with American Indians, and as Americans spread westward, American Indians were frequently defeated in violent conflicts. Remember, a lot of Indians did not have guns, they're being forced to move, and they were removed from their homelands and forced to go to new lands. One important one is called the Trail of Tears. And in the early 1800s, about 16,000 Cherokee Indians from the Atlantic coastal states were forced to leave their homes and walk on a trail to Oklahoma, when they were confined to a reservation, which is a place only Indians can live. And over 4,000 American Indians died on the trail from starvation, cold, or disease on the trail. And this is where the Trail of Tears started. This is where the Indians were gathered up and they were forced to walk all the way to Oklahoma. But one thing about these states, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, they're pretty warm. So a lot of people there don't have warm clothing. But as they got to this area over here, Missouri, northern Arkansas, it's very cold. So a lot of them died in the wintertime while on the trail. Next, we're going to learn about Manifest Destiny and James Polk, who ends up becoming President of the United States. And the popular belief that it was America's manifest destiny to stretch across from the Atlantic to the Pacific provided political support for territorial expansion. So as people said, we're going to move west, we want to acquire new territory, we want to get bigger. The reason they said they wanted to do that was because of Manifest Destiny. And President James K. Polk was elected on a Manifest Destiny platform. So when he was running for president, he said, we're going to get bigger. I believe in Manifest Destiny, that we're going to keep getting bigger and bigger. And during the presidency of James K. Polk, the United States acquired the Oregon Territory from Great Britain, the Mexican Cession from Mexico, which we'll learn more about that later, and the acquisition of land led to the renewed controversy concerning the expansion of slavery into new territories. And America didn't agree if the new territory should be free or have slaves. So as the United States getting bigger, a lot of people are arguing whether there should be slaves allowed in the new areas or if there should be no slaves. And eventually this is going to lead to the Civil War, which still we're not going to get to yet, but we're going to keep going talking about how slavery continues to be an issue. If you have any questions, let me know.